So you see, I was never really good at making rational calls. I was always making stupid decisions in my life. I always felt as if I was making the wrong calls at the wrong time. And this especially showed when I started playing video games and eating a lot of junk food and spending a lot of time around shit people and masturbating a lot, watching all this fucked up content on the internet. I was doing all these things just because I had the impulse to do them. And so I wouldn't stop, nothing would change. And so those things, they would naturally create me a lot of problems that really translated into the entirety of my life. It wasn't just about this social problem of spending so much time indoors with people that don't care about you and just masturbating, looking at another guy fuck a woman, right? Like, it's not just those social problems. It just moved to my entire life, to my health, to my mental health, to my motivation, to my drive, to my own sanity to some extent. Sometimes I felt as if I was just going crazy. Sometimes I felt as if whatever was going on was just picking at my mind and just destroying me from the inside out. And when those problems came, I was never able to face them. I always escaped them just by doing more of the bad habits. Until one day, when I went on this trip to the UK. We went to this trip to the UK. I went there with some other friends, and we stayed there for a week. And in that week, I'm telling you that it was the most meaningful week of my life. Up until this point, I think so. Because it's been the week in which I've learned a valuable trait that I want to talk to you in this video. Back then I didn't know it, but now thinking back on it, it makes so much sense. It's common sense that I just didn't have back then. You see, in this week-long trip that I spent to the UK, I went out from my country, from Romania. I'm Romanian, by the way, for all the people in the comments asking that all the time. I went from Romania to the UK for a week, spent some time there, away from video games, away from junk food, away from porn, away from shit people, away from my bullying that was happening in the school at the time. I went away from all of that, and I went on this week-long trip to the UK where I didn't play any video games, I didn't masturbate, I didn't think about the people in my life that were doing me wrong at the time. This was simply a trip that I spent with some family friends, and we just went around and visited a bunch of things, and we did a lot of walking and seeing and meeting a bunch of people in real life and talking. It was a very social week for me. And throughout all of it, I ended up coming to a lot of conclusions about my life. That is essentially when I started self-improvement. That is when I started fixing my life. That is when I realized that I need to fix something in my life if I do want to move forward. If I do want to ever feel fulfilled and happy with myself. It's been more than a year since then. And now thinking back on it, it feels so stupid for me to only realize this now. This is such a valuable trait that I haven't known about before, and I've only discovered recently. And the trait it's more like a superpower, honestly. To detach from the problem. When you have a problem, when you are going through something in your life, it's such a fucking meaningful, valuable superpower that we all have, by the way, to detach from the problem. To look at the problem from a different perspective. And so this is what I want to talk to you in this video about. So what do you think detaching really means? Because a lot of us, maybe you have some different ways to look at it. Maybe you have some different beliefs about it. But I'm here to tell you that detaching literally means that you leave the problem's environment by physical and or mental means. You leave the problem's environment. You're facing a problem right now. Like I was back then, before going to the UK, I was facing this problem of social outcast, social alienation just chipping away at my life more and more and more. My health just slowly deteriorating. My self-esteem, my self-confidence destroying slowly but surely, just chipping away. Those were the problems that I was facing at the time. I went on that week to the UK. I left all of that behind. For a week, I had a clean slate. Most of the people there that I was with, they didn't know about me. They didn't know about my history. They didn't know anything about my struggles. And so I was left there with my own thoughts, but I was in a different place. I wasn't in the same environment as I was before, was I? I was in the UK. I was like thousands of kilometers away. And spending that time there, away from those things, away from the problems that ruined my life at that time, I managed to think about the issue and have a different perspective. You see, I left the problem's environment. I detached away from the problem, which was back in Romania. And I went to the UK and I was here. And I was looking back on the problem. And so I managed to come up with a good, decent understanding of what was going on and how I had to fix it. And one of those big conclusions was the fact that I had to stop playing video games. And maybe if you knew, you probably don't even know, video games for me were like my biggest drug. I think I have more than 7,000 hours in video games. That amounts to more than 7 months of just constant playtime. 7 months wasted for constant playtime, right? So it's been my drug for so long. And through just a week, a single week, determined me to stop playing video games forever. I haven't touched video games throughout the past 1 year and a half. I've simply not done anything that could regard me to get to start playing video games again. I have absolutely no intention to start doing that. That was the time when I literally started all my self-improvement activities. Everything. After that week-long trip to the UK, and you know why? You know, I think to yourself, back a while, you know, I thought to myself, well, it's fucking magic. It's magic. I don't know what it was. It was a magical experience. No, it wasn't. Dumbass. No, it was simply me excuse me. It was me simply detaching away from the problem. It was me detaching myself away from all the things that were holding me in this low, how would you even call it, this low ration state. I didn't have ration. I just felt as if everything that was there was just consuming, was eating at me. I just felt as if I was powerless. Especially on bullying and video games. Like, those were the things that I genuinely felt powerless over. I detached away from the problem. I was no longer there. I realized that I'm not powerless. I mean, I just got away from them. And I was able to think back on the problem. I was able to think, well, now that I'm here and I'm calmed down and I'm all nice and chill, and I'm happy to some extent being here, how can I fix the problem? And so I found ways to fix those problems. I found ways that I could fix my addiction that held me in place for more than 7 months of constant playtime. That was video games. I quit it. That was the conclusion that I came to. And so you could see detaching away from the problem as you having these chipped sunglasses, right? So imagine some sunglasses, right, that are like really old, and maybe they're cracked, maybe they're all fucked up, maybe they're dusty, and you're putting them on and you're going outside and everything, and you can barely see anything. But at some point, you literally just, you take off the sunglasses and you can see everything nice and clear. That's like you changing your perspective. When you take off those glasses, you are changing your perspective on the things that you're seeing. You're no longer seeing them through the chipped lenses of the eyeglasses, of the sunglasses. And that's exactly what detaching does. You see, back then, I detached away from the problem. I was no longer dealing with that shit every day. I was no longer going through all of that nonsense and bullshit. No, I was detached away from the problem, and I was capable to think and rationally make a plan on how I could fix those things here. And that's exactly what I did. And so I want to teach you exactly how to do this as well, because this is a superpower, man. Like, this shit saves lives. It saved mine, for sure. And so I want to teach you exactly. You probably have done this a lot of times in your life, but you don't even know. So I want to talk to you about the ways that this can impact your life and how to actually get into it and how to actually gain and use this in a productive, useful way for you. So, how can you physically detach from a problem? Think about it. How am I supposed to physically detach from the problem? Well, one thing that I did, you see, well, I was getting bullied and I was getting fucked over in school. I was getting bullied all the time. I was even being threatened of being stabbed. Being stabbed, bro, in school, right? That bad. I was facing the problems of video games and shit people in my life and all these kinds of addictions. And I left the environment. So that is a physical thing that you can do. But maybe, if you're going through the same situation that it's happening in school, you can't really leave the environment for too long. Depends really on the situation, right? But if you can manage it, leaving the environment in which you are facing the problem, that is a really good way to detach from it. And actually, that is how I did it, right? And so I can speak from personal experience and tell you that this is actually useful for you. And so this is one way to do it, and it's pretty broad, right? But simply leaving the environment where the issue is happening can help you actually calm down a little bit. It can help you take your focus away from all those dark thoughts they're not helping all that much, right? So it takes away the focus from that, and it actually lets ration flow in your mind and actually helps you make good decisions. And so that is one way to do it. Just simply detach, simply leave the environment in which the problem is being held in. If the problem is in your mind, you feel as if problems are happening in your head, there's other things that you can do. For example, if you feel as if something's really happening, and this might not even be just in your mind. This is like a useful, and it can be used in any kind of situation. This is an actionable thing that you can do in any kind of problem, whether it's you confronting somebody, wherever the issue is in your mind, as I previously mentioned. Whether you feel like any kind of confronting issue, there's several things that you can physically do, even right now while watching this video. One of them, this is the fundamentals of detaching. One of them being taking a step back. I'm on my chair right now. What I would do is I would literally just put my chair like that. I literally just push my chair back. What did I do? I broadened my field of view. This is exactly what you do. When you take a step back, when you step away from the problem, it's like you just left the problem's environment by several inches, by half a meter, for all my Romanians out there, by half a meter. That is how you get a broader perspective. And this has been proved scientifically, bro. There's studies out there that have proved that by you just broadening your field of view, you get to actually calm down, you reduce your stress levels, and you have this sense of calmness wash over you, which literally helps you make better, rational decisions. So one of the most deciding factors on how well you detach is the fact that you have to take a step back. That is just simply it. You're you're in an argument with somebody, and it seems like it's actually getting hot and everything, and you feel like your emotions are literally taking over. You feel like by you being emotional, by you letting those emotions get to you, you really feel like you want to say some fucked up shit to that person that that you shouldn't say. Maybe you're arguing with your parents about something, and you end up you want to say some fucked up shit, but you know that you shouldn't do it. Take a step back. Simply a small step back. Take a step back. Breathe. Take a step back and breathe. If the problem is immediate, or even if it's in your mind and you're just thinking about it, like, the anxiety of the problem is getting over you. Like, you've heard this everywhere. This is common sense. Breathe. Take a deep breath. Take deep breaths. This has been proved scientifically again to calm you down, to actually reduce your stress level so that you can actually get to make rational decisions. So by you taking a step back, by breathing, you're allowing a bigger picture in your eyesight. By you literally just seeing more with your eyes, you get to calm down and you get to make more better rational decisions. And this has been proved by science. This is not bullshit. You breathe. And one more thing that I would tell you, if you feel like if you're in an argument with another person, or if there's something going on, and there's somebody else in front of you, and you don't want to end up doing some stupid shit, right? Lift your chin up. Lift your chin up. Put your hands down. If you have because you will find yourself literally having your hands up like this, like how I'm explaining it to you. Put your hands down. Lift your chin up. Why would you do that? Why, like, you'd be wondering, like, this is some wishy-washy shit. No, it's not. When you are going into a defensive stance, whether it's for anything, what do? You lower your chin down, you protect the chin, and you take your hands up. It's like you're getting ready for a fight. It's like you're trying, like, your physiological aspect of instinct is getting over you. You're starting to get into this defensive stance. Whether it doesn't matter exactly what you're doing, but this is what you're doing. And your physical body language, it displays a lot to the people around you, even to yourself. So by you simply just raising your chin up and by lowering your hands down, and even by nodding sometimes, when somebody's like, you're in an argument with somebody and they're trying to relate their point, by you nodding, you're showing that you're actually willing to listen. By you raising your chin up and lowering your hands, it shows that you're willing to listen, that you're no longer in a defensive stance, but in a non-harmful stance. You're no longer a threat. And that's a really good way to de-escalate the situation and actually get you to do rational decisions. And so, I need to really put a big disclaimer on the fact that by you simply broadening your field of view, like, you are doing so much. Like, you remember maybe when you get, like, I do this all the time. When I get pissed off about something, about my parents, like, maybe I'm arguing with my parents about plastics and about the fucking testosterone bullshit that, like, not the testosterone, like the estrogenic bullshit that is affecting our testosterone as men, right? I'm getting pissed off that my parents don't understand or something, or they're just very stubborn about it because that's how they are, my parents, and I love them so much, but they're a bit stubborn sometimes, as I am, And so I'm getting pissed off about something, and what do I do? Instead of just letting my emotions get control over me, I turn around. I see my parents and I do that. I take in a deep breath. I just do that. That is simply what I do, and it helps me calm down. It helps you just really lower your immediate emotional response to something. And it's so weird how we all do this, and we just never knew why. This is how you detach from the problem. You change up what you're seeing. You have a bigger picture. You broaden your field of view, and you breathe. And it would have been even better, if back then when I was arguing, I could literally step back a little bit as well. Like, those things, they help you physically detach from the problem. When you're facing an issue, again, if it's in your mind and you feel like, oh my God, I'm a fucking failure, I'm a piece of shit, like, I don't even know what to do, like, I don't know what the hell is going wrong with my life, I'm pissed off, you're just getting amped up. Haven't you had this before? Like, I've always had this before, when I have, like, these kinds of emotional breakdowns, but it starts small, like, oh man, I can't do this right, and then, oh man, like, I cannot do all these kinds of things right, like, oh man, I cannot do anything right. Oh man, I'm a failure. Oh man, I'm a piece of shit. Oh man, I don't deserve to be here. You know, it goes up and up and up until I literally I would end up dissolving in a puddle of tears. This was going on like a year ago. I would have like these breakdowns like on a very constant basis. It was normal, felt normal to just kind of do that. I just let my control, like my emotions get control of me. But now, in the past while, when I felt very emotional about something, I knew that getting emotional and acting on those emotions was not good for me. What I would do is I would breathe. I feel my emotions coming over me. I feel the need to genuinely lash out about something, to be angry, to be pissed off. I breathe. I take a long deep breath. I look around. Like this is not. I'm not even fucking bullshitting. I was looking around. I was doing all these things. I was breathing. I was exactly doing what detachment is, without even knowing. And you're doing the same without even knowing. But by you knowing, like you can literally master this. You can master this, and you can use it all the time to your advantage, and win, and literally help other people and help yourself. And so these are the physical aspects of it, right? Sometimes it might be hard, to actually think, yeah, all right, when the next time I'm in an argument, I'll just step back and I'll look around and it seems kind of stupid because you're like, well, I won't fucking remember that when it's gonna happen, right? Like when I'll be there and I'll be caught up in the thing, I won't really remember. But that's why sometimes it's good to build self-awareness. And you see, self-awareness can be built through meditation, it can be built through journaling practices, it can be built through just simply fucking sitting in a boring room and thinking about things. Like that's something that really brings a lot of self-awareness. By doing those things, you will build self-awareness, which will help you actually also build control over yourself. So when the next time you'll be in an argument, you actually think to yourself, okay, you'll feel yourself getting amped up, and you'll be like, your brain will literally just tell you, yeah, you're getting amped up right now, by the way. By the way, you're getting amped up right now. You're getting like really pissed about this one thing. And you think to yourself, okay, I'm getting pissed off, like who cares? But then you remember that, hey, maybe I should detach. I mean, this is what Kasmin said that I should do. Okay, maybe I should take in a deep breath. Maybe I should broaden my field of view. Maybe I should take a step back. A physical step back, half a meter. And when you do that, you will notice that you are simply just going to have this nice calm wash over you. Not fully. Sometimes it won't be this full calm. You won't just go into this Zen state or some shit. But it'll be enough for you to make a good call based on the situation. So how do you think you can mentally detach from the problem? We've mentioned how you can physically detach from it, taking a step back, taking in a breath, looking around, lifting your chin up, putting your hands down. That is how you physically detach. But how do you mentally detach? And I kind of refrain from actually answering the question fully up until this point. If you haven't noticed, like how can you detach when the problem is in your mind? Well, yeah, you can also breathe and you can all do all these kinds of things, but still, you can also mentally detach, which is even more valuable in my opinion, because sometimes, it's kind of inconvenient to like have to take a step back or have to just kind of start broadening your field of view in the midst of an argument or something. But those are very useful things. And if you can combine both the physical and mental aspect of it together, of detachment, then you are unstoppable. Then you're a fucking superhero. So the mental side of it is really interesting because, I'm going to mention something that you probably haven't really thought about. There is a connection between being humble and detachment. There is a connection between you being humble, or somebody just in general being humble, and then being able to detach from the problem. You see, when you are this self-centered, egocentric guy with a lot of pride, you maybe you're like this. Maybe you feel as if you're the shit sometimes. You feel as if sometimes you could take on the world. And maybe in some extent that's really good, some male aggression, that's really good, but there's also some times when that's not really a good idea. Especially when you're when you end up like having to fight somebody on the street because they talk shit about you, because you're so self-centered that you're like, I have to beat this guy up. Like, I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I don't do that. Like, some situations like that, or maybe just a simple argument. You know, you're arguing with someone over something. By you being self-centered, by you only seeing yourself more, by you being prideful, having too much pride, right? I have to mention too much pride. You end up disregarding the other factors that are going on in your environment, in the problem's environment. By you being self-centered, you get to genuinely negate the other people's feelings to some extent, and you get to simply, even when you see them and you notice them, you're like, who cares? Fuck them, bro. I care more about myself. Like, I'm always right, bro. Like, come on. And so, one thing that I would genuinely recommend is that you start realizing that sometimes you being so prideful and so self-centered, it's gonna fuck you up. And that, you know, being humble in those kinds of situations is gonna be the main solution. Of course, if you're looking for a solution, because sometimes you just feel like you want to fucking take on the world and be a dumbass and make stupid decisions, then I cannot help you. But when it comes to actually wanting to make good decisions, you know, being humble is better than being self-centered. Being humble, being able to notice the other person's feelings and emotions in an argument, being able to determine another person's body language when you feel like you're about to fight somebody, being capable of thinking about certain things in your mind when the problem is in your mind, when you feel as if, fuck me, nothing's going right for me, you know, being humble to some extent and just acting like, okay, let me tone that down a little bit. Let's not fucking get ahead of ourselves here. That's you being humble. By you not just amping things up all the time, by not being this egocentric guy that is only self-centered, you will make better decisions. You get to notice the other people's emotions around you, and you get to notice what the situation is. And then that is one way that you get to detach easily. Once you notice what's going on, once you notice what is happening around you, and you notice all the factors in your environment, even again when the problem is in your head, when you notice the factors in the problem's environment, by not being this self-centered, egocentric guy and actually being more humble, you make detaching 10 times, 100 times, I don't even know, a lot easier. You make detaching a lot easier. So, you want to keep your pride and ego in check. Whenever you're doing something, whenever you're trying to fix an issue in your life, even in your own mind, man. Like, I've had this several times in my life where I just felt as if things were not going right for me, especially in the past while, you know, since I've actually started being more ambitious and actually having higher standards for myself. I would get pissed off for like the most little things, and like they would just really stress me out sometimes. Like sometimes I wouldn't wake up exactly on time and I just get pissed off. Sometimes I wake up 30 minutes later and I get pissed off. And to some extent, yeah, that's going to help you actually do better in the future, but still, that's going to have a bad long-term effect in the long run. So what I ended up doing in the past, well, is I started humbling myself a little bit. I started keeping my pride and ego in check. And when I get really prideful about something, when I get really pissed off about something, I remind myself, hey, you're not that fucking special, man. You're not the fucking god of this world. You're just a random motherfucker, you're a random human being. Stop acting like you're just a shit. You're not. There's people out there 10 times better than you, and they will kick your ass if you let them do that. If you keep acting like you are the shit and you're self-centered, they will get you without you even knowing. And so that helps me, you know, kind of humble myself down. It helps me realize that I'm not that special. I'm another one. You know, it might sound horrible to say that, to actually admit that and understand that, but it's an amazing thing. You can only get amazing things if you genuinely think about it in a positive light. That, okay, I'm not that special, so that means that I don't have to be this egocentric motherfucker. And that helps me detach better. That helps me detach from the problem easier. And so, another thing that you would want to do while doing this, and this is crucial, by the way, it's you keeping your pride and ego in check, and this. And they don't work by themselves, one or the other. It's both together. It's not as if in the previous section we talked about physical detachment. You cannot just kind of take a step back and that already broadens your field of view, which kind of does like two things together, right? You don't have to look around anymore because you already like broadened your field of view a little bit. No, you have to do in this mental side of things, you have to do both things together. You have to keep your pride and ego in check, and you also have to open and keep your mind open. This is really important. You have to open your mind and you have to keep it open, because you see, we as human beings, we have this natural tendency to close our minds up. When things kind of get good, or even when things are horrible, we have this tendency to close our minds up little by little. And we have to force them open. We have to literally, like somebody mentioned this exact verb for it, and I think it really works. You have to pry them open. You have to fucking you have to pry them the fuck open, right? You have to pry your mind open, but it's like an elevator door that just keeps trying to close itself down. You have to pry it open again. It opens a little bit, and then you have to keep it open. And so, how do you do this? You do this by humbling yourself again. Like it all goes back. The mental side goes back to you being humble. By you realizing that maybe I'm not in the right here. That maybe maybe this person trying to get this his or her point across to me. Maybe I'm not right here. Let's see what he or she has to say. But I'll take it for the filters in my mind. I'll take it for the things in my mind that I know will actually get me to think of whether this is a good, rational statement or it's just bullshit. But you listen first. You don't just jump into fucking conclusions and stupid emotions. And, you keep your mind open to new ideas. This is, thinking back on it again, this is what I did back when I went to the UK more than a year and almost a half ago, I think. This is what I did. I detached away from the problem. I left the country. I went there and I was doing activities and I was doing all these kinds of things which are unrelated completely to what I was doing back in Romania. And so I was there. I was doing those things. And another thing, back then I had this, I was happy to be there, man. I was happy to be in the UK with some family friends that I really respect and like. I was I was having a great time and I was happy and I had my mind open. My mind was open to new ideas. I was very happy to just hear other people's opinions and take them in and gain value and wisdom from people who knew better, who knew more than me back then. So I had my mind open, and through this open mind, I was able to also slip in the rational thoughts about how I could fix my life. And that's how I managed to do it, because, just detaching away from the problem, but still being fucking closed-minded, being narrow-minded, being pissed off about something, not wanting to admit that maybe it's your fault, or maybe that, you're willing to listen to your own mind over some alternatives that you could try to adopt to fix the problem. So you need to keep your mind open. You have to open your mind. You have to keep it open your entire life, because that is the only way that things are going to work. But, instead of just having it open, you have to understand that, there will always be some stupid thoughts that maybe, again, you have to, you really have to filter things out. They're going to come through that opening in your mind, but they have to go through a filter. Absolutely. Do not just let them just pop in there, because that's how brainwashing happens. That's how propaganda posters brainwashed hundreds of thousands of people. Through only just taking in information without putting it through the filter in your mind. That you can also, by the way, you can still build by journaling, by meditating, by taking walks in nature, by sitting in a boring room and just simply thinking, contemplating. That's how you build self-awareness. That's how you build the filter for your open mind. And you see, we all have the tendency to close our minds because, like, I wanted to get to this as well and explain it because maybe some people don't not get it. And that's understandable. I didn't get it the first time, but it's because when you're in a situation, when you're facing a problem, sometimes it's simply just much more convenient. It's much easier for you to just live with the problem. It's like much easier for me to just say, yeah, 7,000 hours of video games. Who cares if it's 8,000? Who cares if it's gonna be 9,000 or 10,000? It's like all the same thing. At this point, it doesn't matter anymore. It's much easier for me to just do that because it implies that I don't have to put any kind of work, that things will just be the same, and I'm kind of used to it to some extent. I hate it, but I'm kind of used to it, so yeah, okay. I'm a pussy, so I'm not going to do anything about it. Now, you see, this is exactly what our minds do. We get accustomed to one belief, to one way of life, to one lifestyle, to one situation, to one problem. And we remain fixated on it. And we tend to close up our minds. Because, again, when you get more and more used to something, you just tend to close up your mind. You don't want to let other things come in. You don't want to let diversity and all these kinds of other things come in and just ruin your ecosystem. Because we all have different ecosystems. I have an ecosystem, you have an ecosystem. Every single human being has an ecosystem of their own. And you don't want to let random things come in your ecosystem. And you don't want to go through the fucking... It's like not fun. It's not nice sometimes to have to take all those thoughts and beliefs that you have and go take all of them through the self-awareness filter in your mind. And to have to filter all those things out before they actually enter your ecosystem. And so you're like, nah, I'd rather just do it. I'd rather just be closed-minded about something instead of actually changing it. And that's something that I'm working on right now to actually fix, to open my mind more. Because, starting self-improvement and everything, it started to actually just close down a little bit more and more and more. But I'm trying to pry it open again and build the self-awareness filter stronger than ever before, so that when the thoughts come in, and eventually, like, I will be able to pick out the bullshit from the actual valuable things. And so those are the main things that I believe you can do, to detach mentally. So just simply try to be more humble. Try to keep your ego in check. Keep your ego in check. I mean, it's not going to work any other way, right? Keep your fucking ego in check. Keep your pride in check. And open your mind. And keep it open. Keep your pride in check and open your mind and keep it open. That's what you have to do. You have to just keep reminding yourself that there's more to learn. Keep reminding yourself that you are not on top. Keep reminding yourself that things might not be the way that you think they might be. And you're not that special. Keep reminding yourself of those things in a positive light, and with the good understanding that you only want to do good by you. You only want to help yourself, not just sabotage you or something, right? Do that and you'll keep your mind open. Okay, this person is coming out with like all these kinds of random ideas to me. And like I have my mind closed up. You pry that shit open with these questions like, okay, how is this person right? I'm not gonna try to think about the way that they're wrong. I'm not gonna try to get the fucking negatives out of this person, especially if it's somebody that I love and that I care for. I'm not just gonna like instantly assume that they're wrong and try to find the wrong things. No, I'm gonna instantly assume that they have some fucking value and some truth in what they're saying. And you take that, you take it for your filter. You don't just let it randomly come into your mind's ecosystem. You pass everything that comes up in your open mind through this self-awareness filter, this rational filter. And then it enters, and then you gain new insight. You gain value, and you live and you learn. It's a beautiful thing, man. And so, how can you make good, wise decisions? Like, this is a two-step plan. How can you make good, wise decisions? One, you detach away from the problem. When there's a problem going on, when you feel like there's things happening in your life that you seem to not really have control of, and they're starting to overwhelm you, you detach away from the problem, physically and mentally. You take a look, you take a step back, you look around, you take in a deep breath, what do you call it? You raise up your chin, you lower your hands, and you humble yourself. You humble your ego, you humble your mind, you keep your ego in check, and you open your mind and you keep it open to new ideas, but you keep them through the filter. That is how you detach. And, I might have messed this up actually, my bad, bro. But, the second step was supposed to be that the first one you detach, and the second one that you keep your mind open. You open your mind, then you keep it open. But I kind of made it in one thing. So I'll make this a little bit easier, right? Just detach mentally, physically and mentally, but mentally, just kind of, I don't even know. They both intertwine together, man. Just simply detach physically, by taking a step back, looking around, broadening your field of view, because again, it's been proved scientifically, my bad, that it's good and it helps you literally calm down faster. And you know this as well. When you feel like you're doing something and you feel like you're getting anxiety, your heart's beating faster, you breathe, you take in deep breaths, you kind of try to step back. When you're facing a problem, when I'm pissed off at something that's going on in this room right now, sometimes I'd walk out the room. When there's something that I don't understand, or something that that frustrates me in this very place, I walk in and go in the other room. That is exactly what I do. And I want to do that even more. When there's an issue happening, try to leave the environment to which the problem is being faced, because you're not going to find the solution to the problem in the problem. I think that's decently fucking obvious by now, isn't it? You're not going to find the solution to the problem in the problem. No, they're going to be apart. Because if the solution to the problem was in the problem, then things would be so easy. Then we'd have our shit together, all of us by now. But from personal experience that we don't all have our shit together, do we? Not all of it. Maybe there's some pieces of shit that kind of littered around that we still have to pick up. Yeah, that's disgusting, bro. But that's how you do it. You detach away from the problem. You keep your mind open. And you use some fucking rational thoughts. You keep your mind, you keep your fucking self-pride and your ego down. You don't destroy them completely, because once you destroy that completely, then self-esteem doesn't exist anymore, then self-confidence doesn't exist anymore, and you're gonna live a hollow fucking bullshit life. And I know this from personal experience. I had mine almost destroyed at some point in my life, and it felt as if I had nothing to live for anymore. I felt as if I had no more pride. I had no reason to wake up in the morning, right? But you have to keep them low, but don't destroy them, because there will be times when you're gonna have to tap into those things. There will be times in your life when things are gonna be fucking hard, and you're gonna think to yourself, man, I really want to quit this. This is bullshit. Fuck me. I don't want to do this. But then you'll think to yourself, no, fuck me, bro. I've been on self-improvement, my experience. I've been on self-improvement for a year and a half, right? I'm not gonna fucking bullshit myself about this. No. I'm better than this. I am fucking better than this. I'm a man. I'm this, that's your pride actually helping you out. That's your pride actually getting you up in the fucking morning. But don't let it get you down during the day by fucking your things up, by letting you get too emotional. And this could be like a closing thought. A lot of people think that, detaching away from the problem means that you're just simply you don't have any emotion, that you're just this cold-hearted motherfucker. Like, no, that's absolutely not the case. Like, you can tell that I'm talking to you with like a lot of emotion, but sometimes I look around. Sometimes, I change my perspective a little bit. I try to detach it a little bit from what I'm doing, not to get too caught up in it. And so a lot of people think that being detached and actually using detachment to your favor as a superpower that you naturally have as a human being, that everybody has, by the way, everybody can nurture and everybody can build and grow as a superpower, right? Everybody has it. And a lot of people think that it's just you not having any emotion, be like this fucking cold, distance person. No. But you need to understand that most of the time, like 90% of the time, there's a good 10% of the time when you have to make decisions based on your emotions. Like that's gonna happen, right? But there will be the majority of the time, like 90, maybe 95% of the time, you're gonna have to think rational, and you're gonna have to think strategically, not tactically. Strategically means that you have to think long term. That you have to think about the strategies that you're gonna have to put in your life, the plans that you want to make in the long term, and not just tactical things that are gonna happen, like maneuvers that are going on in the present. You have to, so basically just prioritize the long term over the short term. And so this is what you do by keeping your emotions in check. Like, by detaching, you're not fucking yourself over and destroying your emotions and acting like a fucking robot. No, you are just lowering your emotions capabilities to get to you in that moment, so that you can make a good rational call, which again, 95% of the time, maybe even more, that's going to be the thing that you're looking for. It's not going to be you getting pissed off at your parents for being a bit close-minded or being like that, and literally ended up fucking swearing at them, getting pissed off, and maybe even getting violent and aggressive. Like, you don't want that. I sure as hell don't fucking want that. Or with anybody in general. Like, I don't want that kind of a fucking problem in my life. And so, keep your emotions in check. You don't end up talking to the cute girl that looks really attractive at the gym, and that's like really, really attractive, that you really want to talk to just because she's attractive. But when you actually, maybe you approach her and you talk to her a little bit, and she seems like cold and distant and this and that, and you're like, man, should I keep talking to her? Like, she's really attractive. Should I try to keep trying to talk to her? But like, bro, she's cold and she's this and then she doesn't really want to talk to you. Maybe you don't feel like you guys are going to get along. Don't let your emotions get in the way of your long-term happiness and your long-term stability as a man. Don't let a situation like this, in which you might literally just end up chasing a girl that doesn't even like you, instead of like finding the actual girl out there who you'd actually love and be with. And so, this is another situation that maybe could help you out. Maybe it could give you a little bit of context into detaching away from the situation. Because it happened, bro. Where I remembered some random, really attractive girl in my life. And I was like, man, I could get her phone number right now, and I could end up talking to her. And I could get something going, bro. Like, I could do it. And for a good 1 hour, I was so motivated to just do that. But this was also while I was telling myself at the same time that, hey, you said that you'd be very, very careful about the people that you want in your life. And this girl, no offense to her, but she wasn't the best as in personality, and she wasn't like, we weren't on the same wavelength, more or less. Like, we genuinely weren't. But she was attractive. I was like, oh, well, I know her. Maybe I could try to get close to her. Maybe. Yeah, let's do it. But, I still have my mind, like, literally my rational side of my brain being like, hey, don't fucking do that. Don't be a dumbass. Don't be a fucking dumbass. You said you wouldn't do this. And so I pick out my journal, and for an hour straight, I'm writing that shit down. I am getting pissed off that I'm having a war in my own mind. But then what I do, literally, I'm there and I'm literally caught up in a problem and I'm writing that shit down and I'm pissed off and I wanna, but I don't wanna. I wanna talk to her. I don't wanna talk to her. Like, it's all in my mind. What I do is I close up the fucking journal and I walk on that bed behind me. I sit on that bed for a little while and I think to myself, what the hell are you doing? Think. I was thinking, I was, I changed, I broadened my field of view. I took a step back because right here on my desk, I was writing that shit on my fucking journal. I was like really having a war in my mind. I was genuinely considering messaging this girl, right? But then I thought to myself, calm the fuck down. I took a step back. I broadened my perspective. I sat down on my bed and I thought to myself, what are you doing? Think, what are you doing? Is this really what you want? And then I thought to myself, no, it's not, bro. It's like a fucking waste of my time, bro. This was exactly what came up in my mind. Back then, I was like, my parents, they're working their asses off right now, probably. And I'm out here, I'm fucking journaling wherever I should talk to this girl that we're not even, like, compatible at all. But, like, yeah, wherever I should try to. And I know that it's not really gonna work out, but maybe, maybe I get some quick validation for my stupid behavior. I thought to myself, you're a fucking piece of shit, right? Like, I ended up getting rational, but, a bit emotional as well. But I made the rational decision not to do that. And I'm happy now that I didn't do it. Because who knows how the hell I'd be wasting my time right now. So yeah, this was just some closing thought that I think could really help you out, man. If you enjoyed this video, I spent some time really making it and thinking about it and scripting everything. Like, I have a script here and I have, like, the ideas written down and everything. Like, it's a big deal for me. And I hope that this was a big deal for you and that this actually means a lot to you and I could help you out. And if you think that I helped you out and I provided some value, then why not like the video and why not subscribe? Why not share the video with other people? Like, that could be the single best way that you could help me help other people. Share the video with other people in your life that maybe could use some help. That maybe I could help out. So yeah, man, I'm not gonna make this any longer, man. Have a nice day, bro. Good luck.